last Hierarch of the Covenant, the orchestrator of the Great War, and the true ruler of the Hegemony, as well as its destroyer. He was born as Ord Casto, but history knows him only as the infamous High Prophet of Truth. Through intelligence from one of his former advisors, Zoraskan, we've learned much about this serpent. Long before his ascension to the hierarchy, Ord Casto was a junior staffer within the Ministry of Consort. There he witnessed the infusion incident where Kigyar shipmasters poisoned Ungoi infusions as vengeance for relocating Jackal Nest. This led to the bloody Ungoi rebellion. Grunts rioted throughout the city, killing all in their wake. Only by partially glassing their home planet did the Ungoi finally submit. After the rebel Ungoi were pacified, Ord was elevated to the Ministry of Fortitude, responsible for the distribution of holy relics throughout the reaches of the Empire. There, the minister became more ambitious for a higher standing within the High Council. As the Minister of Fortitude, Ord Casto served as an exceptional politician for decades. Throughout his service in his position, he worked hard to see that all Forerunner technology was evenly distributed among the member races in order to prevent another age of conflict. Like others, Fortitude was on the roll of celebrates, a list of Sanshum not allowed to breed due to their weak genes. I never understood why they would forsake their bloodlines, but honorless creatures have their ways. This restriction, however, mattered little to Casto. He also partook in a small indulgence, smoking. From what Raskan has told us, he would smoke often, though he would rarely use the hookah tobacco favored by his senior staff. Ugh, vile filth! Near the end of the 23rd Age of Doubt, the Minister of Fortitude plotted with two other Sanshum to rise to power as the new Hierarchs. Officially, the Oracle on board the Forerunner Dreadnought at the center of High Charity would bless the coming of a new Hierarch, who would usher in the beginning of a new age for the Covenant. But we would later discover that this was but a farce. They would blackmail and sabotage their way to power with no sense of honor. These prophets were no exception. Around this time, we would discover humanity on the treasure trove world they called Harvest. Casto, along with the Vice Minister of Tranquility, Lord Moran, visited the chamber of the Oracle within the Dreadnought, alongside the philologist Hod Rompt. There, they discovered a truth that would have shattered the core belief of the Covenant. We were not the true heirs to the Forerunners. It was in fact the humans that were the true inheritors of the Forerunner legacy. In order to preserve their selfish agendas, they conspired to seal this revelation by calling for the eradication of this newly discovered species. Once they came to power, the High Prophets of Truth, Mercy, and Regret declared the humans a blight that needed to be purged before the Covenant could embark the Great Journey. And so began the Covenant War. As the war raged on, Truth secretly consolidated his power over the High Council, even lording over the Prophet of Mercy himself, while he constantly clashed his agendas with Regrets. He also began to doubt the loyalty and reliability of the Sangheili, and so he forged a secret alliance with the savage Jerohanai. He saw them as more blindly devoted to his will, as well as admiring their prowess on the battlefield. Secretly, he devised to eventually replace the Sangheili with the Jirohanai as his personal guardians, as well as the primary warrior race of the Covenant. This started with subtle gestures that would soon become more and more drastic, which later ultimately culminated in the Great Schism late in the war. As the conflict reached its end, the High Prophet of Regret was slain by a human demon under the care of his Sangheili honor guards. This assassination gave Truth an excuse to dismiss the Sangheili from the guard and trade their places with the brutes. This sacrilegious act enraged the High Council, fearing they would choose a more progressive hierarch to undermine his agenda. Truth ordered the assassination of the Sangheili counselors, and thus ignited the Great Schism. On that day, the Covenant was torn asunder and fought against itself in the streets of High Charity. As war consumed the holy city, the abominable flood found a way into the station and spread like a plague. The coward fled the city on the Forerunner Dreadnought, leaving the Prophet of Mercy and thousands within High Charity to die. At this time, our Sangheili brethren forged a pact with the humans, and we fought them on the shores of the human homeworld all the way to the Ark. We obliterated the fleet his savage puppets commanded, and cornered the deceiver. Now utterly mad, Truth was still determined to light the rings from one of the Ark's citadels. The fool. His gods couldn't protect him against the parasite as they crushed what remained of his forces, or protect him from the flood form as it consumed him from the inside out. But he saw some form of mercy that day, as Truth found his end at the hands of the Arbiter, Thel Vadam, the same one he created only months earlier to protect his power. He gutted the bastard as he was being transformed into a monstrosity of the flood, and as he drew his final breath, the Covenant Empire ceased to exist. The 3,000-year-old writ of union was torn asunder. The fragmented remains of the Covenant war against one another, and what remains of his people are in exile, fearing our retribution for the atrocities he ordered not only against our species, but that of humanity.